Hey guys, this is Pharaoh 2091, and welcome back to Let's Play Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Last time we left off, we were talking to Mr. Brushel here, who, freaks me out a little bit. Well, quite a lot, actually. And, well, we're still hearing his testimony about what happened, and it's like, we're having a hard time trying to find a motive for this guy to do anything to him. It just doesn't seem like anything exists. So, we're going to hear a recap of the other testimonies in the interview. If we can't find something here, then I think we're pretty screwed. The only other person in the studio that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She's admitted as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug, and nothing left that studio after he died. Nothing. Clearly, the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter. That sucks. Nice testimony. Clear, succulent. What? Is that supposed to be sufficient? Succulent? Words. They hurt my head, I guess. And without room for doubt. Aw, shucks. You really think so? I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may begin your final cross-examination. Right. I still have one trump card left to play here, and I won't let this trial end until I use it. I wonder what that could be, though. Alright, well, I think there's a couple things we may be able to get here. So, okay. Nothing left at studio. Yeah, nothing at all? Not one thing. You're sure? Yep, sure as it sure can be. Well, with one exception. One exception? What? Journalist Mark Brushel does interview. Leaves studio. End quote. Come on! It's a joke! Get it? Not funny, I know, but still. Did something leave the studio that night? Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before? Now that we've proven our witness is a comedian of sorts, I'd like to turn to our defense attorney before returning to the testimony. Do you have any idea what, if anything, that might have left the studio that night? Actually, yeah. Something actually came up during the previous testimonies. Possibly. I think one thing might very well have left the studio that night, actually. A certain something that was vanished from the crime scene. By which you mean something other than our witness? Of course. Don't tell me. Vera Misham? Believe me, any comic relief I may provide is entirely unintentional. Then, let's see what you got for us, Mr. Justice. Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that shows how it could have been taken from the scene. Mr. Brushel kept talking about a yellow envelope, yet one wasn't never picked up. However, where do you put letters? The only way this guy communicated was through his letterbox, by writing letters. So maybe it was taken from there? This is the only link between that studio and the outside world. A letterbox? What did Mr. Brushel just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter. Yeah, I said that, and yeah, it was true. Furthermore, you went on to tell us that he put the letter in a yellow envelope and put it into the letterbox. Ah! Well, that very same letterbox is empty. Hold on real quick, guys. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Thought I heard something, whatever. In other words, that night, the yellow envelope disappeared. Objection! Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Huh? He has a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Misham. Is it really important that this envelope the witness says he saw disappeared? Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me. Very well then. The witness will add this to the testimony. You got it! I still think this fails to change anything, Air Forehead. I wouldn't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. It's exactly the opening I've been looking for. You know what? There's another statement. This statement was kind of iffy as well. I'll try getting back to the other one when I can. Hold on, real quick. I just want to get to this real quick. You're sure about that? Well, to be really, really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time. One of those candies might have been poisoned! Never know. Yet, at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of mint filled the room. And no mint residue was found. It was a long shot anyway. True. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than the coffee? Well, Mr. Justice, if you have some sort of proof, the possibility is there. I can feel it. Just maybe not prove it, not yet. The possibility isn't going to cut it, not now. Mr. Misham ingested that poison via a route other than the coffee. And you might be thinking, well, what other way? Remember where else we found that poison. Think about it. I think we can prove it. Proof is possible. Here goes nothing. And of course, this little air guitar thing going on there. You do understand what we need, yeah? Proof, Air Forehead, not possibilities. Of course. And Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand. I'm ready to give you that proof. What did you say? I have proof of the disappearing envelope. I saw him writing a letter, I did! Which was picked up by the mailman, I assume. Of course, which means that envelope had a stamp on it. A stamp? Ah! As we all know, stamps come with dried glue on the back. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it by licking the stamp. It is possible, but no one worth talking to actually licks stamps in this day and age. Really, a lot of people, I think, do. At least I think so, anyway. Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead, after all. Okay, so he licked the stamp. But wait, how does that explain the poison on the rim of the coffee mug? So if he licked the back of the poison stamp, the poison would have gotten his tongue, yes? What would happen if he put that coffee mug to his mouth, Those traces in the mug weren't the killer's doing. It was the other way around. What? The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Misham. Mr. Misham poisoned the coffee mug himself. I guess the envelope is poisoned. Order! 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 But that doesn't... Does it? Recall, if you would, this poison is a slow-acting poison, right? The poison entered his body when he put the stamp on the envelope. But his time wasn't up until that very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe. It's a bit of a long shot here, but I guess it does make sense. Oh, crap. You have something to add, Mr. Brushel? Uh-oh. His nose is picking up another scent. As I believe I mentioned earlier... an envelope... Oh, he was searching for something as well. Okay, the stamp. But you know, I don't seem to remember him ever finding one. Maybe he just run out? Incidentally, we searched the desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There were no stamps. Not a single one. Oh, crap. That does pose a problem here. How will you prove that the stamp was coated with poison? Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. It makes proving the stamp he uses poison possible. Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp in the scene in the first place. Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. Where's your evidence that proves the existence of his poisoned stamp? Well, would it be this envelope? Because there's a stamp on it. See, I was getting a little interested about this thing. This frame has poison on it as well. It's a really tiny frame. Maybe he had a stamp on there? I don't know. Is it this? Well, that certainly is a cute little frame. By little, I mean really little. It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself. I noticed that too during my inspection. So what? Apparently you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when you saw this frame, it was missing something quite important. Missing something? Yes, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. That's a poison residue! What? Why wasn't I told about this? The frame is only 2 inches square. The face of the frame is even smaller, maybe an inch wide at most. You weren't saying... Oh, but I am. Tell me, what fits in such a small frame? A commemorative stamp, perhaps? Why use a commemorative stamp as a real postage stamp? Well, whatever. Order! 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 The poison stamp was in this frame? Impossible! Prosecutor Gavin! Why would he put something like that on his desk? Don't tell me he had it there so he could commit suicide if the mood struck. You know, can I say something? I had a thought, see? Wait, Mr. Brushell, please stop jittering on like that. The victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in that line of work. Forger forges friends, makes enemies too, end quote. So the poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him.
Objection!
Still a stretch, but it could be possible. Oh, rich. That's rich. Leave the ridiculous flights of fancy to the Gavanier's song lyrics, please. Finally, something we agree on. The stamp was a murder weapon. Nonsense! Murder is a simple business. Who would go to such lengths? No one. Nah, there's people out there who will go to a lot of lengths, even in these games. We've seen it. Oh, I disagree. Come again? Recall, if you would, the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Drew Misham hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail. The mail! Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet, but you knew read letters, a stamp would be a perfect weapon. Ridiculous! Where's your proof? I want proof! Show us evidence that this poison stamp was sent to him as a murder weapon. I may not have evidence, per se, but things are finally starting to come together. What is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling. I think I know what happened. I don't believe it, but I can see it. I think I know how Mr. Misham was killed. Well, fill us in, Mr. Justice. A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. And I can show you how someone with the intent to kill sent Mr. Misham the stamp of death. And would it be this envelope that was addressed to Mr. Misham? It has a stamp on it. I mean, it's very possible that, you know, boom, that could have been it. Isn't this the envelope? The one from 7 years ago? Think about the text of the letter again. You know, he needs to send $100,000 and you want to be quiet, or else, pretty much. There were 2 pages in the envelope. This is page 1. And this is page 2. I want to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. The enclosed stamp, Your Honor. Ah! In other words, if I have this straight, the stamp, poison on the stamp, lick, lick, gasp, end quote. Now, what if he had done exactly as the letter asked? He would sign a document, put it in the envelope, and put the stamp on it, right? Then he would put it in his letterbox. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between affixing the stamp and mailing the letter. But the clock started ticking. When the time came, he drew his last breath, and a murder weapon would be taken away from the scene. Quite conveniently, thanks to the postal system. Wow, okay. Like I said, it seems very far-fetched, but, you know, it's very possible. Such a splendid imagination you have there, Air Forehead. Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. So, this poison stamp was inside the envelope from 7 years ago. Yeah? Is that what you have us believe? Really? Well, it is a little bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility. Yes, a very small possibility. How small, I wonder? A poison stamp in this envelope? A stamp that then became the murder weapon? How do you intend to prove this seeming coincidence? Well, it was 7 years ago, and we don't know who sent that letter. And your answer is silence. I see. Very well. I move to... It's not nice to pick on the Fraulein Clavier, whatever. Wait, who is this? Oh! At what? No! Christoph, what the hell? That was weird. Okay, it's Emma. It's Emma, okay. Well, like my Christoph gave an impression? Did I sound like him? Oh, so you were... Okay, you were impersonating Christoph. Okay. Don't quit your day job. Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fraudline Detective? Someone had to come dig you out of all the mess you've making on this case. Mess? You know, none of this would have happened if you just trusted in the science a little more. You can find out if that stamp was in the envelope. Easy. Care to explain yourself, Fraudline Detective? Glare at me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all in the residue, right? That's right! The poison detection spray. Produce a red envelope at once. You can open it on the authority of the court. Okay. Ah, so we get the spray now. Okay, so... Let's see if something was... Oh, here we go. Well, would you look at that? No mistaking it. That's poison residue. I don't believe it. A murder weapon from the past. Now 7 years later, it bears its fangs at last. Objection! Absolutely outrageous. Tell me why. Why didn't this murder take place 7 years ago? Well, there's only one possibility. Or there's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Misham figured it out. Figured what out? He realized that the person who sent this letter wanted him dead, so he sent his reply with a different stamp. And put his decisive evidence in a frame. Who's that? That now? Oh, him. Oh, I picked up another scent. Ugh, you're still here? Hey, can I make a statement here on the record? I, Spark the Razor Toothbrush, will claim the scoop for as mine. Drew Misham killed in cold blood. By sender a 7-year-old letter. End quote. No, maybe something more is that. Star falls after 7-year delay. End quote. And everyone's saying, get out of here! Order! 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 I see no room for further argument here. Though I admit this is all coming as quite a shock. The thing that the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years. Like I said, it does seem very far-fetched, but it's possible there. Stamp his ticket straight to afterlife. End quote. Uh-oh. It is the bad influence on the judge. I see no need of further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant. Apollo, I think we just won. Very well. This court finds the defendant. Alright, getting ready to say this one more time. Ahem. Damn it. I really wanted to say it. Oh well. Is this the bright future of our legal system? Prosecutor Gavin? A ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago? Tickets for Gavin Years shows are invalid after 2 weeks. But it doesn't make sense any other way. It boggles my mind so that so many people haven't noticed this yet. There's a... I keep hearing crap. Ah, whatever. There's a fatal contradiction to Air Forehead's claim. A contradiction? A poison stamp was placed in this envelope 7 years ago, whereupon it was framed until now. If that's the case, then why would Drew Misham have done what he did? Emma explained that. He must have realized it was poison. Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, the forger Drew Misham sensed the trap and put the stamp in a frame. I do not debate this, but this begs the question: why, 7 years later, did he use that stamp in the night of the murder? See, I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't really make sense here. Why does everybody seem to forget that? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Misham simply forgot? Yeah, I guess not. He put the murder weapon in the frame of his desk for 7 years and forgot? You expect us to believe he's spraying a trap on himself? Whoa! Oh, bastard. Stop being so good. Well, I admit, this is all quite shocking myself. It does seem highly unlikely that he would fall afoul of a trap that had been sitting on his desk for 7 years. Apollo! I don't think we're winning anymore. I'm glad to see we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to reality. We've been waiting for you. Objection! Okay, then how do you explain a poison stamp and that was in this envelope? The poison stamp? Where exactly is this poison stamp again? Have you brought it to court for us? I see no proof that such a thing ever existed. What about the poison residue, huh? Oh, I agree, that does seem to be the poison residue. But, Air Forehead, it's certainly no stamp. Yeah, but even if your precious poison stamp did exist, Drew Misham never would have used it. That is all. Ugh. I hate you. I believe we've come to a conclusion. Again. Apollo, were we wrong the whole time? I can't believe it. The poison traps match up. It can't be coincidence. I'd like to bring some closure to this issue sometime this year. Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor? Let's review the facts and see where we stand. 7 years ago, Drew Misham received a red envelope. There were traces of the poison on the document inside an envelope. A similar traces also found at the crime scene, on this tiny picture frame. The defense has indicated a possibility of a yellow envelope, an envelope that left the scene of crime with a poison stamp on it. Yes, but even if this envelope contained a poison stamp, and Drew Misham, knowing this, put it in a frame, he never would have used that stamp. I'm afraid you're right, which means there's a fatal flaw in the defense's case. I haven't been on the wrong track this whole time, I'm sure of it. The traces of poison, the envelope, the frame, and Drew Misham's mysterious death. They're all connected somehow. Well, Mr. Justice, do you have a conclusion for us? The defense stands by its case, Your Honor. We see that the logical outcome of the evidence makes no sense, which means that one of our clues must be a fake. Ah, a fake clue. Fascinating. If we find this fake, your wild fantasies will prove quite reasonable, yeah? The fake clue that's thrown us off the poison trail is none other than... I wouldn't really consider these two fake, because... But... how would we consider him fake? Well, he is a forger. I guess it is kind of... he is fake for doing that, I guess. That makes sense. The victim was a fake clue? I'm afraid I don't understand here. I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself. Objection! Oh yeah, using the... we claim, using that... yeah, using a stamp here. Congratulations, you've completely lost me. So the fake evidence is none other than the master of fake himself, the forger. It makes a good story, I'll give you that. The fake clue. Fakes. Forgeries. Ah! I know that face. That's the I just had an idea face. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake? Come again? 7 years ago, our forger sniffed a trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into the very same trap and dies. Why? Well, that's what I want to know. Because the forger who was killed was a fake. What? Here we go again. The victim was a fake? One forger smelled the trap. One forger fell into the trap. That's 2 forgers, and one of them was a fake. What the hell does this even mean? I'm confused now. Order! 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 So you're telling us that Drew Misham, the victim, was a fake? Well, if he was a fake, then who's the real forger? You better not be claiming there was some kind of switcheroo. I'm afraid you're gonna have to back up your story here. So Justice, show us just who the real Drew Misham was. If Drew Misham wasn't the real forger, there's only one other person it could have been. Understood, Your Honor. Forger Drew Misham himself was a forgery. The real forger was... This would be a perfect time to stop the episode. I should have stopped a while ago, but I'm close to the continue mark here. So think about it. Who else is a pretty good artist? Well, wasn't Vera drawing pretty good stuff on that patch she had? Yep. There could be only one explanation, really. The real identity of forger known as Drew Misham was none other than his only daughter, Vera Misham. Oh boy, okay. Order! 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 Mr. Justice, this is going out on a limb, even for you! I kinda agree. I mean, Vera, a forger? Let's consider it before you write off entirely. If you look at the paintings in the studio, one fact becomes quite clear. Forgery has been taking place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in the trap 7 years ago. This could only mean that the one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger. Well, actually, that does make a certain kind of sense. One more thing. Only 2 sets of fingerprints are found in the forger's studio. Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. If we know that Drew Misham wasn't a forger, that leaves only one possibility by process of elimination. The forger was Vera Misham. Well, you gonna play the guitar? Okay. Is that a good or bad thing? Fascinating! Okay. So that's a good thing? Vera Misham has been paying attention to the trial so far. Let's just ask her and be done with it, shall we? Who are you? Who is the forger? Drew Misham? Who is he? Oh. Oh, she looks a little secluded and scared there. What was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? She's staring holes into Prosecutor Davin's face. I'm used to being stared at by Fraudlines, believe me. Though they usually talk to me, too. Tell us, were you the one who forged those works of art? Vera? Yes. Okay. That's your answer. So the forger Drew Misham was you? No, you don't have to... Yes, it was me. Oh, wait a minute. So, are you saying that... I'm very... Does she draw her emotions? I'm assuming that's what I'm getting out of this now, so she's sad. What? 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 Oh, she's really short. The court was in an uproar, and it wasn't coming down. We had a break for a 10-minute recess. Okay. So, yeah. What the hell? So we're saying that it really wasn't Drew Misham, and now it's pretty much Vera admitted that it was her? Well, okay. That's a little, well, yeah, I don't know what else to say here. It's, holy crap, I guess. This sucks. I don't know. I mean, I hate finding stuff out about this from my clients, or, you know, our clients in all these games so late when it probably could have helped us make our case in the very beginning. But, you know, what can we do? We just gotta roll with it and work. So, yeah, I guess next time what we're gonna do is, go ahead and talk to Vera and possibly talk about just why she did these forgeries. Does she know what really happened that night? You know, just basically cross-examine her, and hopefully we can come up with an answer that will satisfy us. Hopefully. So yeah, as usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Let's Play Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. I'll see you guys later.